The woman on her knees was wearing a diamond necklace worth more than the hotel behind her. And the billionaire who owned that hotel was the only person in the crowd she was begging not to look away. When Adrian Vale stepped out of the black Maybach, she lifted her face through the rain and whispered, "Daniel, if you believe some people can disappear from your life but never disappear from your heart, stay with this story. Because before sunrise, a secret buried for 28 years was about to destroy the most powerful family in the city." Adrian stopped on the marble steps. The hotel's brass doors swung behind him. Guests turned to stare as security moved toward the woman, but Adrian raised one hand. "No," he said. The woman was drenched. Her gray hair clung to her cheeks. One shoe was missing. Her coat had split at the elbow, exposing a faded blue dress beneath it. She looked like someone who had been sleeping under bridges for years. But around her neck hung a necklace Adrian knew. Not because it was expensive, because he had once held it in his tiny hands while a woman sang to him in a kitchen that smelled of cinnamon and rain. His mother had worn that necklace the night she vanished. 28 years ago, Daniel Vale had been 6 years old. Tonight, he was 34, worth $11 billion, and standing outside the grand opening of his flagship hotel, while the woman who had abandoned him begged at his feet. Adrian crouched on the marble. "Say it again," he whispered. The woman gripped the wet fabric over her chest. "Daniel." No one had called him that since the day his father told him his mother was dead. Adrian descended one step. Marcus leaned close. "Sir, we can remove her quietly." "Did you hear what she called me?" The woman flinched as if the word had struck her. Then she reached inside her coat and pulled out a small red metal car, its paint chipped, one wheel missing. Adrian stopped breathing. He had buried that car in the garden behind his childhood home when he was 7. His father had told him his mother took everything she wanted and left him behind. Adrian had dug until his fingers bled, trying to find the toy she had promised to bring back. "How do you have that?" he asked. The woman's lips trembled. "Because you gave it to me." His father's friends, investors, reporters, watching the billionaire's perfect night collapse in public. "What is your name?" The woman looked directly into his eyes. "Evelyn." His heart kicked hard against his ribs. That was the name from the lullaby, the name his father had forbidden him to say. Adrian reached for the necklace, but Evelyn pulled away. "Not here." "What do you mean, not here?" "They're watching." He glanced toward the hotel windows. Behind the glass stood his father, Victor Vale, motionless in a white dinner jacket. His silver hair was perfectly combed. His face held no surprise, only fear. Adrian turned back to the woman. "Who are you?" Evelyn leaned toward him. Her breath smelled faintly of peppermint, exactly as he remembered from a dream he had spent years pretending was not real. Then she whispered, "Your father didn't tell you the truth about the fire." The woman collapsed against him. Adrian caught her before her head struck the stone. The crowd gasped. Someone shouted for an ambulance. Marcus called emergency services, but Adrian was no longer hearing him. Evelyn's hand had closed around his wrist. Even unconscious, she held him like she had been afraid he might disappear again. Inside the hotel, Victor watched his son carry the woman through the lobby. And for the first time in 28 years, the old man looked terrified. The private suite on the 19th floor had been prepared for dignitaries, not abandoned women in wet clothes. Adrian ordered everyone out. His fiancée, Celeste, protested from the doorway. "Adrian, the investors are downstairs. The opening ceremony—"
Cancel it. You can't cancel your own hotel launch because of a stranger. She called me by my birth name. Celeste's expression tightened. People research famous men. She probably saw it online. She had my toy. That silenced her. Adrian laid Evelyn on the sofa. The hotel doctor checked her pulse and found dehydration, exhaustion, and a dangerous fever. There was a bruise around her left wrist, purple and fresh. Was she assaulted? Adrian asked. Possibly restrained, the doctor said. She needs a hospital. Evelyn woke before the ambulance arrived. Her eyes opened sharply. She sat up and grabbed Adrian's sleeve. Don't let Victor take me. Adrian felt the room tilt. Victor entered behind him. Victor stopped inside the door, his eyes fixed on Evelyn. You should have stayed away, Victor said. Evelyn's face drained of color. Adrian stepped between them. You know her. Victor did not answer. Dad. A muscle moved in Victor's jaw. She is sick. She needs professional care. She says you took her. She says many things.
She has been unstable for years. Evelyn rose too quickly and nearly fell. Adrian caught her elbow. Ask him where he buried the kitchen key, she said. Adrian stared at her. Victor's gaze snapped toward the window. What kitchen key? Adrian asked. Evelyn pressed a hand to her temple. The blue house, under the third step. You had a scar on your thumb. You cut it opening a tin of peaches, and you cried because you thought I'd be angry. Adrian remembered the tin. He remembered the kitchen. He remembered a woman's hands washing blood from his thumb while saying, My little Daniel, pain is not proof that you did something wrong. Victor moved toward the door. I'm calling the police. Call them, Adrian said. And tell them why she knows things no stranger could know. Victor stopped. Evelyn removed a folded paper sealed in plastic and held it out. Read it after he leaves. Victor's voice became dangerously quiet. Give me that. Adrian took the paper. His father lunged. Marcus caught Victor's arm before he reached them. Celeste screamed as the doctor backed into a lamp. Victor looked at Adrian, not at Marcus. Your mother died in a fire, he said. She has spent decades pretending otherwise because she knows you will pity her. Evelyn shook her head. I didn't die. Then why did you leave him? Adrian demanded. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. I didn't leave you. She looked at Victor. He took you from me. Then the hotel's fire alarm began to scream. Guests flooded the hall as sprinklers burst from the ceiling. Smoke rolled from the elevator. Marcus pulled Adrian toward the emergency stairwell. Evelyn disappeared in the confusion. Adrian found only her missing shoe and blood on the brass handrail. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. A man's voice said, If you want your mother alive, come to the old train depot alone. Adrian gripped the phone. Who is this? You have 1 hour. What happened to her? The man laughed softly. Ask your father what happened to the other boy. The line went dead. Victor was gone. By midnight, every major news channel was replaying Adrian Vale kneeling before a homeless woman outside his hotel. Celeste found him in the underground garage beside the missing shoe. You need to control this, she said. My mother has been kidnapped. You don't know that? She was bleeding. You don't know that either. Adrian studied her face. Why did you say your mother, like you've met her before?
Celeste looked away. There it was. Not fear. Knowledge. Before she could answer, a car exploded above them. The garage shook. Flames climbed through the ramp.
Adrian dragged Celeste behind a pillar. His phone lit up with a photograph. Evelyn, tied to a chair, beside a boy who looked exactly like Adrian at 6 years old. Under the image were 6 words. 1 hour, Daniel. Come remember. The abandoned train depot crouched beyond the city. Adrian arrived alone, carrying only the small red car he had taken from Evelyn. The depot doors stood open. Inside, a single light swung above the platform. "Hello?" His voice disappeared into the dark. A figure stepped out near the tracks. It was a boy. Not a boy, an adult wearing a gray hood, thin as a wire. He had Adrian's eyes, but a deep scar crossed his cheek. "Where is she?" Adrian asked. The man smiled. "You still lead with demands." "Who are you?" "You don't know me?" "No." "You used to call me Eli," the man said. A flash of memory tore through Adrian. 2 boys under a kitchen table, one holding the red car, while a woman warned them not to make noise. Eli. Adrian backed away. "You're my brother." "Half-brother." "What happened to your face?" "What happened to your memory?" Eli took out a pistol. "We can trade questions later." "Where's Evelyn?" "Alive. For now." "Take me to her." Eli's smile faded. "She needs saving from the man who turned you against her." A sound came from behind the walls. 3 knocks, then 2. Evelyn's signal. Adrian moved toward it, but Eli raised the pistol. "Tell me what Victor said about the night of the fire." "He said she died." "He said she left you." "He said she was unstable." "He said I never existed." Eli's hand trembled. "I was 10, he continued. You were 6. Victor locked us in the basement because Evelyn threatened to expose him. She had found the books, money stolen from the company, bribes paid to judges, land taken from poor families. She said she would go to the police." "Why would he keep me?" "Because you were his heir." "And you?" "Because I was inconvenient." Eli looked past him, toward the dark tracks. "The night of the fire, Victor came down with gasoline. Evelyn fought him. I tried to stop him. He hit me with a metal bar." Adrian touched the scar behind his ear. "Did he hit me too?" Eli nodded. "You fell against the furnace. Your head was bleeding. Evelyn got us out through the coal chute, but Victor caught her before she could take you. He told you she was the reason the house burned." Adrian remembered flames, a woman screaming his name, a hand pulling him away. He had always believed the hand belonged to his mother. Eli continued. "I was dragged into a car. You were taken to the hospital. Victor told everyone Evelyn died. He sent me to a boarding school under another name. She spent years trying to reach you." "Why didn't she?" Eli's eyes hardened. "Because every time she got close, Victor threatened to have her arrested for kidnapping. Later, he threatened to kill me." The 3 knocks came again. Adrian turned. "Open the door." Eli did not move. "Please." That word surprised them both. Eli lowered the pistol. They crossed the depot and entered a maintenance room. Evelyn was tied to a chair beneath a bare bulb. Her face was swollen, and there was dried blood at her temple. Adrian rushed to her. She reached for him, but stopped inches from his chest, as though afraid he might reject her touch. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "Only where I'm old." He cut the rope with a broken piece of metal. Then he knelt in front of her. "Why did you come to my hotel?" "I tried to see you at your office. Victor's men turned me away. I went to your house. They threatened Eli. The hotel was the only place with cameras, reporters, witnesses. Why were you begging?" Evelyn looked down. "For money?" She shook her head. "For you to hear me." Adrian's anger cracked, but it did not disappear. "You could have found another way." "I did. For 28 years. She pulled the plastic-wrapped paper from her coat. "This is your birth certificate." Adrian unfolded it. The name Daniel Michael Vale appeared beneath the date of birth. Mother, Evelyn Rose Mercer. Father, Victor Thomas Vale. Then he noticed the second page, a medical form from the night of the fire. Patient, Daniel Vale. Diagnosis, traumatic memory disruption. Guardian authorization, Victor Vale. At the bottom was a handwritten note. Memory suppression recommended to prevent psychological collapse. Patient repeatedly asks for mother and brother. Adrian read it again. "What does this mean?" Evelyn's voice broke. "Victor paid the surgeon to keep you sedated for 3 days. He told him you had no family except your father. When you woke, you remembered the fire but not the faces. Victor filled the empty places with lies. Why did you let him raise me?" "I didn't let him. I fought him." "You lost." "I know." Evelyn looked at his expensive watch, his tailored coat, the hotel ring on his finger. She touched none of it. "I saw you from across the street once," she said. "You were 17. You had just won an award. Victor stood beside you, smiling for the cameras. I wanted to run to you." "Why didn't you?" "Because he had Eli photographed outside his school. A gunman followed him for 3 days. Victor sent me the pictures." Eli looked away. "I thought if I came to you," Evelyn continued, "he would kill your brother before you ever understood why. So I waited." "For 28 years?" "For every year you grew without me." "For every year you grew without me." Eli looked toward the depot entrance. Victor called the police. Adrian stood. "Then we go public." "Public?" Eli said. "He owns half the police department." "Not half the city. He owns the judges." "Then we give the evidence to everyone at once." Evelyn caught Adrian's hand. "You have to know something before you do that." Her grip felt weak. "Victor didn't just steal the company from your grandfather. He built his fortune by taking the land beneath this hotel. 37 families lived there. They were forced out. Some disappeared. One of them was Eli's father." "And you knew?" he asked Eli. "I spent my life trying to prove it." The depot doors burst open. Victor's security team flooded the platform. At their center stood Victor, holding a folder and wearing the same white dinner jacket from the hotel opening. "You always did prefer an audience." Adrian shielded her. "How many people did you hurt?" Victor sighed. "She has poisoned you already." "Did you erase my memory?" Victor's face changed, not with guilt, but calculation. "You were a frightened child. I made a choice." "You lied to me." "I saved you." "You stole my life." "I built your life." Victor lifted the folder. "I can end it just as easily. Every debt, every acquisition, every hotel is tied to companies you never knew existed. If I go down, you go down with me. Victor turned to Eli. And you? Still hiding behind your brother's money? Eli raised the pistol. Take one more step. Victor smiled. You won't shoot. You've spent 24 years trying to become better than me. Eli's finger tightened. You had his name, his house, his future. I had a locked room and a new identity. Adrian faced him. Help me take him down without becoming what he is. Eli lowered the gun. Victor nodded to the guards. Before they could move, every light in the depot snapped on. Cameras appeared in the rafters. A red recording signal blinked above the door. Celeste stepped onto the platform holding a tablet. Victor stared at her. What have you done? Something I should have done years ago. Adrian looked at her, stunned. Celeste's voice shook, but she kept walking. I found the old financial records in Victor's private archive. I thought they proved tax fraud. They proved murder. Victor's face hardened. You have no idea what you're saying. I know about the families in Harbor Row. I know about the judge who signed the evictions. I know about the surgeon who altered Daniel's medical file. And I know you paid him through a foundation registered in my father's name. Adrian's blood went cold. Your father? Celeste looked at him. My father was the surgeon. I grew up believing he treated you after the fire, she said. He told me he saved your life. 2 months ago, I found the original records after he died. He didn't just treat you. He followed Victor's orders. Adrian took a step back. You knew? I knew my father had done something terrible. I didn't know it was you. Why didn't you tell me? I was afraid. Afraid of Victor? Afraid you would look at me and see him. That was the cruelest part, because Adrian had been doing exactly that. Victor made a sudden movement and pulled a small gun from beneath his jacket. He aimed at Celeste. Adrian crossed the space between them. The shot exploded through the depot. Celeste fell. Adrian caught her before she hit the floor. Blood spread across her white blouse. The tablet skittered across the concrete, still streaming live to thousands of viewers. Celeste. Her eyes fluttered. I'm sorry. Stay with me. I should have told you sooner. Don't talk. She grabbed his lapel. Your mother didn't come for money. I know. She came because Victor found her first. Adrian looked up. Evelyn had turned toward Victor, horror widening her eyes. Victor was running. Marcus and the guards clashed near the entrance, but one of Victor's men grabbed Evelyn by the hair and dragged her toward the tracks. Adrian rose, leaving Celeste in Eli's arms. Mom! Evelyn screamed his birth name. Daniel, don't follow him! Victor reached the old train line. A freight engine thundered somewhere beyond the fog. He held Evelyn in front of him, gun pressed beneath her jaw. Adrian stopped 20 feet away. Rain poured through the broken roof. Victor's voice carried over the approaching train. You have always been weak where she is concerned. Adrian raised his empty hands. Let her go. She destroyed you once. She didn't. She left. You took me. Victor laughed. And what did she give you? Poverty? Fear? A brother who hides in shadows? I gave you a kingdom. You gave me a cage and painted it gold. Victor pressed the gun harder. Evelyn whispered,
Don't trade your life for mine.
Adrian's eyes never left Victor's. You taught me that family is something you own. Victor smiled. I taught you survival. No, she did. Adrian glanced at the tracks, then at the red metal car in his palm. He remembered the night of the fire differently now. Not all at once, in broken flashes. Evelyn pushing him toward the coal chute.
Eli crying behind the furnace, Victor striking him, and his mother screaming a promise. Run, Daniel, I will find you. She had spent 28 years walking toward it. Adrian took one step forward. Victor lifted the gun. Stop! Adrian stopped. Then he dropped the red car onto the tracks. Victor looked down instinctively. In that fraction of a second, Evelyn drove her heel backward into his knee. The gun slipped. Adrian lunged. Eli shouted. Victor fell onto the gravel, and the weapon skidded beneath the freight train's approaching light. Adrian caught Evelyn and pulled her clear as the engine roared past. Victor was pinned beneath the arm of an old signal barrier, alive but trapped. His security men fled. The live stream broadcast his confession to the city. Police arrived, and the cameras made silence impossible. Celeste survived the shooting, though the bullet shattered her shoulder. Do you hate me? Adrian stood near the hospital window. I hated what you hid. I know. I don't know what we are now. Celeste swallowed. Neither do I. He nodded. It was not forgiveness, not yet, but it was honest. And honesty was the first thing Victor had ever failed to take from him. 14 months later, Victor's empire had collapsed. Families from Harbor Row came forward with photographs, eviction notices, missing relatives, and stories nobody had wanted to hear while the hotels were rising. Adrian sold the flagship property despite threats from his board. The land became the Harbor Row Foundation, with homes, legal clinics, and a free medical center. Healing did not make Eli gentle every day. It made him stop pretending he was not hurt. Evelyn moved into a small house overlooking the sea. She refused a mansion and staff. She accepted only the restored necklace and the red metal car. On the first morning she came to his house, she stood outside for 10 minutes before knocking. She held a paper bag containing burned cinnamon rolls. I was nervous, she said. So was I. Then Evelyn said, You're taller than I imagined. Adrian's face crumpled before he could stop it. She reached for him carefully. He stepped into her arms and heard her heartbeat against his ear. She smelled like rain and peppermint. I looked for you, she whispered. I know. I never stopped loving you. Adrian closed his eyes. I wanted to hate you, he said. You had every right. But I couldn't. She held him tighter. That was never your job. He cried, not polished tears, but the exhausted sobs of a child who had finally been found. Evelyn did not tell him to be strong. She simply stayed. Months later, Adrian returned to the hotel's old steps with his mother, his brother, and Celeste, whose arm was still in a sling. A plaque stood near the entrance. This building was raised on land taken from people whose names were ignored. We remember them now. Your father would have hated this. Adrian looked at the windows where Victor had watched her collapse. He hated anything he couldn't own. Eli leaned against the railing. Do you miss the money? But then Evelyn reached for his hand. No, he said. I miss who I thought I was. Celeste gave him a sad smile. You can become someone else. Adrian looked at the woman who had betrayed him out of fear, the brother who had survived in his shadow, and the mother who had begged in the rain because love had been the only thing left that Victor could not confiscate. No, he said. I can become who I was before they told me who to be. That night, the Harbor Row Foundation opened its doors. Hundreds of former residents gathered in the ballroom. A child played nearby. Adrian stood at the microphone. Seeing Evelyn in the front row, he folded his prepared speech and set it aside. My name is Daniel Michael Vale, he said. For most of my life, I believed my mother abandoned me. My brother never existed, and the man who raised me was my protector. Those beliefs made me rich, but they made me lonely. Some lies build a life around the place where the truth should have been. But a life built on a lie can still be rebuilt. We do it by naming every person who was hurt and refusing to let their pain become invisible again. He stepped away from the microphone. For a moment, there was only silence. Then an old woman in the front row stood and began to clap. Evelyn rose beside her. Eli joined them. Everyone stood. He remembered how she had whispered his name. Not the billionaire's name, not the heir's name, but the name of the boy she had never stopped searching for. She had whispered the name of the little boy she had never stopped searching for. Daniel. And when he finally answered, the kingdom his father built began to disappear. But the family Victor had tried to bury stood together in the light. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is not taking everything from the person who hurt you. Sometimes it is becoming impossible for them to hurt anyone again.